next to you, the item that was moved, the Utah Consolidated Application, the UCA.
Yeah.
Michael, you asked to have that moved to action.
Right.
So first, let me have a motion for this item, and then we can have a discussion.
I move to approve the Utah Consolidated Achievement Plan 2014-15.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
A second? All right, discussion.
So I had asked to move it because when we talk about like achievement gap disparities, when it talks about it, one of the things that I see happening is that there seems to be a lot of, I wouldn't say inconsistency, but there's different ways that each schools are approaching this. And I've been involved in a couple community meetings where the discussion has resolved or revolved around, trying to get consistency across the district. And so I wrote a letter here just spelling out one of the recommendations that, the last meeting that I was at was with the equity leadership team. So one of the recommendations that they gave in an effort to kind of solve this like achievement gap disparities, for example, coming back here to
Is this 1.4 that you're looking at? Do you think it's good?
Yeah, well, like if I look at like 1.4.4, for example, when it talks about conduct equity audits at various district programs and practices, since I've been on the board, I haven't seen an equity audit. And then when I ask for them, they're not, I don't know where they're at or if they're available. The next one talks about 1.4.5, talks about achievement gap. It says increase student achievement and close the achievement gap through district-wide cultural responsiveness. And so that's one of the things that people in the community, and like in the last equity leadership team that the district sponsored a couple of weeks ago, that we're not seeing a lot of that district-wide application. So the idea was that I was just, that I support, that I just wanted to alert the board to, we could have that discussion later, but the idea was to make a position of the associate superintendent of educational equity. And that would allow, the idea was that would allow for that, to address things district-wide as opposed to the patchwork that we're seeing now.
So Michael, did you have a specific objection to this document that you asked to be moved from consent?
Right.
Yeah, like just what I said, that I don't see things happening district-wide like it says here. It says that we'll conduct equity audits on various district programs and practices. I've never seen that. So as a board member, if I'm asked to vote on this, I'm just saying, I'm not seeing a lot of the things that we're saying that we're doing in here. Those are two of them. I've marked several of them, but I'm probably going to vote to move this forward with the understanding that as a board member that deals with schools that have the achievement gap in them, we're not, and even in the community, we're not seeing a lot of the things that are stated in here. We're not seeing those happening in the schools.
Patrick?
This particular document is the cumulative work of the student achievement plan and the presentations on the essentials to the board. So when the different members come and report, so equity and Kathleen comes and does her presentation to the board. She talks about where they've made progress on particular goals, whether they have made to change a particular goal and identify the next year's set of goals to work on. So we hope that we are kept, when we come each time to present, we're talking about what's been accomplished and then what's yet to be done and setting those next goals. The equity audits, in conversation with Kathleen, talks about having come and presented some of those things to the group here. I believe that she says that there are some documents that she'll get to you in terms of some of that follow-up, but this is our effort to try to keep the student achievement plan as the center of our work, making certain that this drives our creation of the consolidation plan as well. And the consolidation plan itself is due to the state office on the beginning of November 7th. And so we don't start writing the plan until we actually get this approved so that we know that these are the goals and the actions that you want us to follow up on.
Okay.
This reminded me that we didn't do a very good job of helping Michael and Tiffany understand the history of UConn. So When the state first started asking for a consolidated plan, most districts in the state didn't have a consolidated plan, didn't have a master plan. The boards had now for 10 years a student achievement plan, and the previous boards directed us, when this became a task that the state was asking for, directed us to make sure that we use the student achievement plan into the state language rather than the state language usurping what the board had done with all this community input in the student achievement plan. And so there was a point in time that board members will recall that we had to approve this at a specific date and time before the funding was moved forward. And the state then, at one point in time, said, we want you to do this in June because we're starting to release some of the funds in June. And then we remind them that the fiscal year for federal dollars is actually October to October. So we're one of the few districts that I believe is doing this correctly, but we could go the other direction back to where it was before. But what I mean by correctly is that the current year's plan is actually living through this coming October or September because it connects to the federal funds in addition to local funds and how they would then relate to your student achievement plan. So the language that's been used here, and boy, we should have talked about it in more detail a year ago because you saw the same thing a year ago and you voted for it. But the idea was to point out in red where each of the state's language links back to the board student achievement plan so you know what goals and objectives are tied into the state-required UCOT. Now, UCOT is becoming better and more efficient. They just added adult education this spring. They added community ed a year ago. What's left that's not in there? Anything?
But they actually took adult ed back out for this next
Oh,
year.
did they? So adult ed's back out. Wasn't nice while it was there. Anyway, the intent was, since the board was so thoughtful in that process to create a student achievement plan, is to try and not lose that, because this becomes a compliance tool at the state. What the state uses UCOT for is to say, you have these dollars, and you're going to spend them how? And then, like Janet's helped all of us learn time and time again, your budget is accurate every day for the day that you look at it, and then it moves and changes as dollars get spent and activities move forward. So the board for the last few years has said, yes, let's approve this framework now. We know that you won't be able to actually read the plan that the state has online until November, when other districts are then voting on it. But we could wait till November for you to see that, but it's very helpful, we think, to have the practice that says, no, the local student achievement plan should be driving this process, not the state UConn language and system. So that's the history.
Any other discussion?
I just want to make sure that I understand that. So you're not objecting to the goals, Michael. You just are taking the opportunity to point out that you don't think they've all been met.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. All right. Let's jump right into it. Thank you,
Christy?
Jen. Yes.
While you're passing that out, can I just say, add on to Heather, what you said was accurate, but also there was a solution, is what I was proposing, that came from the last equity leadership team, was trying to have somebody on the district level just coordinate some of these
But I think
issues.
that's what Kathleen Christie does.
Yeah.
That's Kathleen's
Kathleen.
job.
I think that's Kathleen's
That is, I mean, the whole
She's the one who
equity
tells us
team,
to
that's
report.
their job. That's why they were created, that whole department.
Right, but that's what we're saying in these community meetings, that that's not working.
Well, so let's have further discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have
We have
further discussion.
another equity
Another
team meeting on Thursday.
It's Thursday.
And some of us didn't get the message about the last meeting on the 22nd.
Okay.
And also, my question back out is, what is this committee? What's our role on this committee? I mean, none of us even knew about this, that we were even a part of this committee.
Yeah, I
So-
didn't know either. I didn't know if we were invited or we just information.
Exactly. So we'll have more discussion about it.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.